There's an empty glass sitting next to me in this story, and by the end of it, that glass is full. But right now, my hand is on a document I don't want to sign, my coffee's gone cold, and I'm about to make the one decision in my life I hated the most. And somehow, it became the best one I ever made. My name is Marcus. It started on a street I walked almost every night. Night shift ending, bag over one shoulder. No one else was out. Just me, a street lamp, and a long shadow stretching out behind me like it was following me home. I wasn't thinking about investing. I wasn't thinking about the future. I was thinking about how tired I was of feeling like I was working hard and going nowhere at the same time. That feeling followed me home. It was 1:47 in the morning, and I was sitting at my kitchen table with my laptop open. 2 tabs. One was my bank account, showing a number that made my chest tight every time I looked at it. The other was an investment page. I kept closing it, then opening it again. My coffee had gone cold an hour ago. My phone sat face down next to me. I didn't want anyone interrupting whatever I was about to talk myself into. There was a piece of paper crumpled on the floor beside my chair. Calculations I'd done for different ways, hoping one of them would tell me this wasn't as risky as it felt. None of them did. The next morning, I stood in front of the mirror holding an envelope. On the counter beside me sat a second envelope. Bills, the ones that don't wait, the ones that don't care what else you're trying to do with your money. I looked at my reflection for a long time. I wasn't happy. I wasn't sad either. I was just committed. The kind of committed that doesn't feel good yet. The kind where you've made the decision, but your body hasn't caught up to believing it was the right one. I picked up the envelope, and I made the call. Something changed in my face during that call. I felt it happen before I understood why. I lowered the phone slowly. I just stood there, staring at the wall, while the light outside my window started to dim as clouds rolled in. Whatever I'd just agreed to, there was no taking it back now. And I had absolutely no idea in that moment whether I had just made the smartest decision of my life or the most expensive mistake I'd ever make. I set my phone down on the counter right next to where that envelope used to sit. It was gone now, already on its way to becoming something else. I looked over at that same empty glass I told you about at the beginning. Still empty, still waiting. I didn't know yet how long it would stay that way. The room felt colder than it had all morning, even though nothing about the temperature had actually changed. The signed document sat there next to the glass, and for a second, it didn't even feel real that I'd actually gone through with it. All I knew, standing in that kitchen, was that I had just made a decision I couldn't take back. What I didn't know yet was how long the silence afterward was going to last, and whether I'd survive it without quitting. The silence after the decision set in almost immediately. Marcus checked his investment app. The numbers were barely moving. He set the phone down, picked it up again, set it down again. Doubt does not arrive all at once. It compounds quietly, one small thought at a time. Marcus sat across from someone who leaned forward, already mid-argument, already certain he was wrong. Everyone seemed to have an opinion about what he should have done with that money instead. He started to wonder if he had made a mistake nobody was telling him to his face. Standing at the window that night, the city lights below felt very far away from the decision he'd made. His phone was already open to the investment account. His thumb hovered over the button that would end it. He stood there longer than he meant to. Long enough for his arm to grow tired holding the phone up. And then, for no clear reason, he put the phone down without pressing anything. He went to bed without an answer. Just the absence of the worst outcome. Weeks passed. The account did not crash. It also did not do anything remarkable. Marcus almost forgot about it entirely, which in its own way was the first sign something had shifted. Then one evening, almost by accident, he opened the app again. He looked at the number on the screen. Read it once, then read it again, slower. His posture changed before his mind caught up to what he was looking at. It was not a life-changing number, but it was proof that doing nothing reckless had been enough. He thought about the version of himself who almost sold everything that night at the window. That version of him did not know what was coming. This version did. Section 2 of his life with this account was not about the number. It was about whether he could survive his own doubt. Looking back, The hardest part was never the money. It was the silence where reassurance should have been. No one calls to tell you that you're doing fine. You just have to keep going without that. Confirmation. He realized later that the silence was not punishment. It was just what patience actually feels like while it's happening. By the time the second quarter came around, the account had grown enough that even his doubt felt distant. Marcus did not celebrate. He just kept doing the same quiet thing he had been doing all along. He thought about all the people who quit during the silence. Right before the part where it would have worked, the hardest part was already behind him. He just hadn't noticed the exact moment it ended. Looking back at section 1 of this story, Marcus realized the hardest decision and the best decision had been the exact same decision. But Marcus had no idea that the version of this story he was living was about to change completely. The turn did not happen all at once. It happened a way most real change happens, quietly and a little too late to notice in the moment. He arrived home and sat down at the same desk where this entire story began. On the wall behind him, the original crumpled paper, smooth flat now, was pinned where he could still see it every day. He did not need the paper anymore. He kept it anyway, as a reminder of who he used to be. What that investment became was never really about the number on the screen. It was about proving to himself that he could make a hard decision and trust it before he had any proof it would work. The life Marcus built afterward was not dramatic. It was just steady in a way his life had never been steady before. He stopped checking the account every day, not because he stopped caring, but because he finally trusted it. 1 year later, Marcus did something he had been avoiding the entire time. He calculated the actual difference it had made. The number on the screen was larger than he expected, not because of luck, but because of compounding he had forgotten was even happening. He sat back in his chair and exhaled slowly, the way people do when a long-held tension finally has somewhere to go. He thought about how close he had come to selling everything that night at the window. If he had pressed that button, none of this would exist. Not the number, not the folder, not this version of him. He never told anyone how close it had been. Some moments are not for sharing. They're just for knowing. The life Marcus never expected was not a different life. It was the same life with one less weight attached to it. He still went to work, still made coffee the same way, still walked the same street. But something underneath all of it had changed. The quiet hum of constant worry was simply gone. He understood, finally, that the lesson was never about which investment to pick. The lesson was about whether he could sit inside discomfort long enough for something good to have time to happen. Most people do not fail at investing because they pick the wrong thing. They fail because they cannot tolerate the silence in between. Marcus did not consider himself disciplined. He just considered himself someone who had decided not to quit on a random Tuesday. If you're in the middle of your own version of this right now, the silence does not mean it is not working. The silence is just the part of the story that does not make it into anyone's highlight reel. Whatever decision you're sitting with right now that feels too heavy, it might just be the one you look back on like this one. He picked up his notebook one more time, not to calculate anything, just to write down what he had learned. Overhead, the pen moved slowly across the page, each word chosen the way someone speaks when they finally mean it. He closed the notebook and looked up the same way he had looked down at that first document so long ago. Except this time, nothing was frozen. This is Marcus, and this was never really a story about investing. It was a story about the decision he hated, the silence he survived, and the version of himself he became by simply not quitting. Whatever decision you're avoiding right now, it might be the best investment you ever make. Not because it's comfortable, because it's right.